Okay. Probably. Okay. Whatever. All right. This is gonna be a much shorter form factor video. Last one was like 50 minutes long. I do not it. All right. So where have I been? I've been at the gym. My time schedule was completely out of whack, dude. Like it was from 11 to 3 a.m. So by the time I woke up, I could only really focus on certain things, and even then, towards the end of my towards the end of this schedule, it was completely so out of whack that I couldn't even do what I was doing previously. But I'm at a much healthier sleeping schedule that I'm gonna go back to doing this now. But this is gonna be a journal entry to honesty. So I had a 50-minute video or a 50-minute live stream earlier where I was just getting it out of my head, getting into the rhythm of things, and trying to get out everything that I had in my head at the time. And for a short form factor, basically, I noticed that certain things that had occurred with a previous friend group of mine, which was the Rabbit Hole server, shit, even with Pox Toxic, with what was the other server called? Midnight Show Refugee Camp. So basically, I've noticed this certain cycle that kept repeating in my life where I wasn't being honest and I was being very avoidant with dealing with certain people. So, as a quick example, with the Rabbit Hole crew, um, I wasn't being honest with other people and telling them that I was having kind of like conflict with the guy who owned the email to the YouTube account, to the BitChute account, and it was putting me at odds because I was trying to upload certain videos, do certain things on the back end side of things, and he was being very, can't say he was clashing with me directly, but he was just making things very difficult for me. And I was being very difficult to work with too. So I noticed that there was this weird interplay dynamic between me and this individual where I just decided, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm not gonna tell anybody why I'm leaving. I'm just gonna leave and disappear, right? Which is the same thing that is going on right now with people at the gym that I went to. Either way. More on that in a bit. Um so yeah, I left the Rabbit Hole server because I found myself at odds with the guy who owned the email to the YouTube account. And I was noticing socially, the way we interacted with one another, that he didn't like me very much. He didn't like me kind of dictating the certain rhythm to the show sometimes, or I could just tell that, I don't know if I want to say this the way I want to say it, but I could tell that he wanted to fight for on air time, and he wanted to, I don't want to say dictate the conversation or dictate the rhythm of things, but I could just tell that I rubbed him the wrong way. And the certain subject matter that I wanted to talk about, he didn't want to talk about. And kind of vice versa with other people too, where there was just creative forces that were clashing with one another. And because I kept noticing that, and me having a very avoidant communication style, I just left the group. And I was just like, fuck, I don't know what to do. Because if I say anything about this, if I bring this up to other people, it will just create conflict. And I didn't want to lose, right? In a weird way, I don't think I would have lost any of these friends the way I lost them, the way I did things. I think just things would have progressed differently. Right? Me not being honest. Me not putting my foot down, me not stating my needs, XYZ. I don't know how I want to say this. So that repeated itself. But it repeated itself in a very different way because I had a best friend. His name was Danny. I can't say we're friends anymore because I haven't spoken to him in quite some time now. And It was all over MGTOW, men go their own way, red pill movement, female nature stuff, blah blah blah. We conflicted with one another because I kept giving him advice that I kind of think that he eventually told his significant other, and then that significant other was like, "You need to stop talking to him because he's toxic." And low key, like that shit was toxic as fuck. Like, but it's not to say that there was some truth in what I was saying. But that's like another fucking whatever. That's dead. Leave that shit where it belongs. So kind of lost him as a friend, and then I started going to this other gym, or I started going to a gym, or whatever. I started going to the gym, and I met this other group of people that I thought were really cool, and I wanted to be friends with them. Well, in the process of me trying to be friends with them, I wasn't realizing that I was communicating to them in a very no, it's not that I was communicating to them in a non very honest way. I started molding myself in a way where I could be accepted by this friend group without recognizing that they didn't want to be my friend. At the beginning of all this, like I should have just fucking took the hint and just dipped. Like, all right, cool. It's nice knowing you, group of people, but I know you don't want to be personal friends with me. I should have just taken that fucking hint from the very beginning and been honest with it, or at least honest with that situation of myself, and let that shit be. Um, it got that progressed into bigger sets of problems. Um, Way bigger sets of problems. So not being honest with myself and not being honest with others. The later half of this story is me not being honest with them, but also me not being honest with myself and recognizing that certain people were displaying certain behaviors. And because I wanted to put blinders on and not fucking recognize that this person has these red flags, this person has these red flags, this person has these red flags, I kept communicating to them. I kept trying to be friends with them, and that didn't plan out at all, like at all. But so this story begins with one person saying one set of things, and so this person was saying, I don't know how to say this without being kind of like direct with it, but this person was saying that he had a very intimate relationship with this other person. And he created this whole idea in my head that they were going out. Only right, I believed it. I was like, all right, cool. That's your chick, right? That's what it is. Um Later to come to find out that that wasn't it at all. That was not the real story. And the way I discovered this, or at least the way that this kept planning out, was I kept finding holes in the story. I kept realizing that I'm not being told the whole truth here. And it eventually came down to it when I spoke to this person. And when I spoke to this person, I created a certain set of misunderstandings. And she took those misunderstandings, brought them back to him, and then he brought that back to me. And it created this really weird um, dynamic between me and this person. And because I wasn't honest with him, I was never honest with him. I never told him the complete truth. But in me telling him the complete truth, it wouldn't have, at least I don't think it would have worked out. Things probably would have worked out differently if I was just honest with him and would have told him that. So, okay, to go back to the beginning, the first time that I ever saw this chick, um, as cliche as this sounds, there was just this weird attraction that I had to her. It wasn't based on looks. It wasn't based on, like, there was just this weird notion where I was just like, right? Because right, me knowing this MGTOW, right? So the reason why I brought up my buddy and his girl and me giving him advice about the red pill stuff or the MGTOW movement or uh discerning female nature, we'll call it that. Discerning female nature was because at the gym I fucking hate females who go there with their boyfriends and will have a wandering eye to other guys. And like straight up, and if you look at the boyfriend will be like he'll have some internal jealousy. He'll have some internal problem with his chick acting this way, right? I dislike I really do not like chicks that do that shit. Like I kind of have a certain disdain for them. So, right? Uh so me hearing this guy say that he has an intimate relationship with this girl, I developed this notion that oh, they're going out, right? I can't get between these two because I have standards, I have integrity. I'm a fucking loyal friend. Um so me acting that way when I first interacted with this girl, fully knowing that I was completely attracted to her, fully knowing that there's this weird thing that's like bringing me to her, um I kind of like try to cut that cord right then and there, only to realize that, oh, they're not going out. I'm not being told the whole truth here, which kept leading down like this whole fucking problem. But because I wasn't honest, those problems kept, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Because I kept creating misunderstandings, because I was being avoidant. I wasn't confronting him. I wasn't, I'm not going to say confronting her. I'm just going to say that I wasn't communicating with her because again, there was this whole distrust thing that I had with her because I know right? Like I'm not going to say I heard her whole backstory, but I knew enough about her for me to think that I can't trust this person. Who is this? Oh, fucking Benavi. How's it going, Benavi? What's my time on this? 12 minutes. Okay, I gotta keep this short. I couldn't trust her. I felt that I couldn't trust her. I felt that I couldn't communicate with her because I wasn't sure of what her intentions were. And I wasn't sure how this was going to be perceived to the guys. And there was all this weird shit that I was trying to be loyal to, that once I realized the truth of they're not going out, he's being a bit of a liar, and something's going on here. Again, this just goes into my avoidant personality and me not just being honest with myself. I just let the motions play out. I just let all this shit just keep fucking rolling. And I'm not gonna say that I'm like mulling over that. Oh, I should have done things differently, like X, Y, or Z. Nah, fuck that shit. Like, I think things played out not the way they should have, but they played out in enough of a way where I'm like, okay, you know the truth, you know the truth, I'm good. I don't give a fuck if anybody else knows the truth. Well, this other uh, I'll call him the wedge, the liar, whatever we want to call him. That guy, didn't let it go. He still kept. Once he recognized me as a problem, I didn't know who to trust at that point. I didn't know if I could still be friends with all the other guys because I wasn't sure what he was saying to the other people, and I wasn't sure if she was just kind of fucking with me because she's loyal to him, because there was this whole lie about how she'll do anything that he says, and like they tend to fuck with people's heads, and like these two people are toxic, this or that. Like there's this whole fucking narrative about this. Right? Because I was just navigating through the fucking lies. Like, what's a lie here? What's a lie here? Like, there's all these lies that I don't know what to believe in. And, you know, watching the MGTOW stuff, the Red Pill movement stuff, that really jaded me. I was really unsure of what I should believe, I would say. But a lot of things would have planned out differently if I was just honest from the very beginning. And the very beginning was the first time I saw her. I never got to say anything to her the first time I saw her. It was actually weeks later that we actually got to spoke. But the first time I ever saw her was a fucking moment for me, right? Like, cause as guys, we tend to say this to chicks where we're like, "Oh, I felt attracted to you since the moment I saw you," right? We say all these bullshit lies, but that was one of the first times in my life where I saw somebody and it hit me where I was just like, "Who are you?" And the reason why I say that is because I had heard so much about her the weeks leading up to her coming back. I had heard so much about her that I already had these like negative conceptions about her. I already had all these negative ideas about who this person was. So the first time I saw her, I was already jaded as fuck. Like jaded as fuck. And right, red pill, MGTOW, all this other shit led me to not trust who the fuck she was. Led me to like at first thinking that it was her boyfriend, so I was already thinking very negatively of her in a way where I thought she was promiscuous. We'll say that. Which wasn't the case at all. At least, I don't know. I never got to meet this person. We never got to really have any serious conversations because um after the first time that we spoke, there was that altercation. She went back to him with misunderstandings. He came back to me. He recognized me as a problem. And he interjected himself in a variety of different ways to make sure that I would not communicate with her. And then there was also me being very avoidant and me not being very honest with me wanting to talk to her. There's all these other shit, right? Because I would just think like, what would other people think? And the reason why that mattered was because everybody else in that gym literally thought them to be a thing, literally thought them to being a couple. So if anybody else saw me actively walk up to her to try to talk to her, would look like the wrong thing. And it didn't help that any time that she would try to talk to me, it was under very specific circumstances. And those circumstances really led me to not trust her because you know what I mean? It's like why are you only talking to me under these specific conditions? And without recognizing her side of the story, which was whatever. Whatever. Besides the point, I know everything about this person. I knew everything about her in the sense that I knew who she used to talk to. I knew certain things that happened at parties or this or that with X, Y, or Z. And it was kind of funny because there was one time where like I brought up twins to somebody and they were like, "How the fuck do you know that story?" Because it eventually dawned on them that like you know more than you should know. And, like I'm the new guy. How the fuck do you know about all this? I just listen. I just listen and I take in information. I've been doing this shit for quite some time now. And yeah, just snowballed into giant effects of like me not being honest with myself, with others, and me not recognizing that I'm rubbing people the wrong way. Just kept snowballing into bigger effects. And there was also the distrust that I started having for other people where I wasn't recognizing what they thought. I wasn't bringing this up to anybody and asking them like, "Hey, what do you know about this?" or "Hey, this or that." Like, well, either way, it all comes down to the fact that I wasn't honest with other people that, "Hey, I'm attracted to this person. I'm interested in this person. What do you know?" Like, because I never brought that up to anybody, it just kept snowballing into bigger fucking problems. And, that's my own fault. I'll blame myself for what I can blame myself for. I'm not going to cast judgment on anybody else or anything else because I have the belief that you should let the things in the past be the past. You should let them just die. Because if you hold them dear or if you hold on to them, they will just completely deteriorate and decay everything that you do afterwards. So there's that. I should just leave that here. But I learned a lot about honesty in like I want to say 3 months. And man, was it a fucking hell of a fucking ride. Because I don't know. I don't know. Things would have just turned out differently is the way I think about it now. But at the same time, I'm not holding on to like, maybe I should have done this. Maybe I should have done that. It was just, this shit was fucking toxic. Like, what the fuck? And you know, there's also the fact that I acted toxic. I lied. I manipulated. I was trying to throw people off my trail with saying certain dumb things and like fully knowing that it was going to be a game of telephone where you say one thing to one person, but by the time it gets to the end, that message is distorted. You don't know how that other person is delivering your message. And I fully knew what was going to happen. I fully knew that, you know what I mean? Like, why play toxic? And the reason why I say that is because I needed to let that part of myself die forever ago. And I didn't. I'm all thinking I'm going through this healing journey, but in reality, it's like, nope, you did not heal at all, my boy. You acted just as fucking toxic. I didn't. Well, I can't say that. I was about to be like, well, I didn't lie as badly as he did. And I'm like, nah, nigga, you lied even worse because you fucked with somebody's emotions. And, you know, I think that's kind of fucked because in a weird way, when you lie and you manipulate, it is a form of what I call spellcraft or witchcraft or whatever the fuck you want to call it, because you're trying to change or you're trying to skew the perception or you're trying to skew the outcome of certain things, which accumulates, in my belief, bad karma. And in doing that kind of like thing that you're playing with, you're only going to reap what you sow, and just fucking doesn't play out in your favor, or it just blows up in your face, or whatever fucking form of expression we want to use at this point. When in reality, I should have just been honest. I should have just looked at one dude and been like, look, I know she's not your girlfriend, and I'm really attracted to her, and I want to talk to her. I don't know how that would have played out, because now I'm interested. Like, how would have that played out if I would have just been honest from the very beginning? But, you know, past is the past. And, fuck, dude. Being toxic is so toxic. Toxic as fuck, dude. Like, and you want to know the fucking best part about all this? I can't talk to the opposite sex. I am so nerve-wrackingly nervous. Like, I have no game at all. And for this situation to play out the way it did, people would look at me and be like, wow, fool, like, you got game. Like, you the Riz, this or that. And I'm like, I don't. I actually don't. I don't know how to talk to a girl. I don't even, from a place of not being toxic. Like, if I'm just trying to, like, smash and not give a fuck about a bitch, that's easy. Like, that's the most easiest thing a guy can do. But from a place of, like, where I'm at now, where I want something long term, I don't know how to do that. I just go back to my old ways because that's the only thing I know. Like, I don't know anything else. And, yeah. This situation is very evident of that. Where it's like, I don't know. I'm just going to let that be there because I don't know this person. This female that I'm talking about, I don't know her. We had 4 conversations. I doubt she knows my name. And you know what I mean? It's like nothing came of it. Nothing came of it because, yeah, I wasn't honest. Nobody was honest in this situation. I played into it. I said that I was talking to other girls when I really wasn't. I said that I was interested in other people when I really never was. And, fuck, dude. Playing games ruins lives. right? You fucking play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I can't remember where I learned that quote, but that was one of the best quotes I ever learned. And quite a fucking lesson in honesty. And I'm saying all this now from my face because I talk about this in a podcast that my buddy's about to release. So it's like, hey, there's more to that story, and I'm gonna add that here because at the time that we recorded that episode, I was still under the impression that there were certain other elements at play, when in reality there probably weren't. And I was just uh, lurking through lies, cobwebs, spider webs, like trying to find out the truth in the situation. And yeah, shit's hella fucked, but that was me. I'm gonna leave that here. 26 minutes, give or take. I think that's a good time instead of a fucking 50-minute episode. But yeah, there's not much else I could say. I could give if see, I want to talk about all the toxic shit that I did, but what's the point? At this point, the only thing that I could hear in my head is what I heard prior to me leaving this group. So yeah, I left this other group of friends. I never want to go back to that time slot because I felt that I disrupted something that should have never been disrupted to begin with. Not verbatim. These aren't the exact things that this is not the exact thing I heard, but I heard somebody just kind of wished for them to have people to interact with the way they used to. It made me feel so fucking guilty because not many other people are kind of putting together the thing that caused all of this to break apart, but it was me. I'm not gonna say that I did it purposefully. I'm not going to say that all of the fault is mine, but I am the catalyst that created these circumstances that destroyed this entire friend group. Or at least I destroyed their environment. And I felt so guilty over it that I decided to leave. And I decided to leave them alone for good. That's not the truth in the matter. I don't want to, right? Like, that's my ego being like, but it's not your complete fault. Yeah, it's not, but I am the cause of it. And it just made me feel fucking guilty. But yeah.